Hi, Diana. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, Diana. It's Debbie here.
Hello.
How are you? Hello. Who's from the town of Tecumseh?
It's Carrie Rice.
Oh, Carrie. Okay. Hey, Carrie, if you're there.
Hi, Carrie. Hi, Diana.
Somebody, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's saying Diana, but my name is Trista.
Oh, okay. Do you want to change that?
I'll change it.
Okay.
You'll change it? Okay.
Trista with a K?
Trista, T.
Perfect. Where are you from, Krista?
It's with a T. I'm from Smooth Rock Falls.
Trista.
Thank
Trista.
you. Perfect.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Trista.
No longer Diana.
There you go. Thank you
The
so
former
much.
Diana.
She was the lady that worked here before me. So
So that your Zoom account might be under that. So
it could be. I need
Yeah,
to get updated.
yeah.
That's why we got Jay on our side here to change that for
They
you.
do. Hey, Carrie, are you there? She's not there yet.
She's there. She's got her mic and her mic.
Oh, she's on mute. Okay. I'll be right back, guys. Chat amongst yourselves.
Trista, is your last name Breton?
That's correct.
Okay.
And where are you from, Trista, you said?
Smooth Rock Falls?
Smooth Rock Falls.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited you guys registered and are coming on board. This is our inaugural Tuesday Talks.
Which I thought it was Tuesday yesterday when my husband asked me questions. Right. He's like, it's Monday. We were teaching our kids dates and times and saying, you need to start following along. And I'm like, it's Tuesday. Everyone's like, no, it's not. I'm like, okay.
Hi, Linda. Hi, everyone.
Good morning from Timmins.
Hey, Marnie, how are you?
Shivering with the cold. It looks like autumn has arrived.
It has. It was -2 here. What was it like up there?
Same thing, and frost warning covered the pumpkins.
Really?
Yeah. Sad to say.
Okay, that's why I say fall's coming in like a lion. It's our spring term.
That's true. That is very true.
So Carrie said she can't have video and she has limited access to respond by voice. So she'll probably be doing comments in the chat.
Perfect.
Who else do we have here?
We got Anna Rookyard from the town of Oakville. And we have Lisa Whalen from the city of Cambridge.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. We've got 10 people on board so far. We had about 25 registrations, so we have another minute. So.
Hi, Karen.
Hey, Anna.
I really do want to do a Hollywood Squares version of Zoom. Every time I see it, it's all I think. They're looking up. And
Who was it yesterday who called me? What was his name? Paul? In the Hollywood Squares, the original version. There was Paul somebody, and it was a comedian.
Yeah, I remember that, Paul.
He was, he always sounded drunk.
I'm Googling it.
Okay.
Good.
Paul Lind.
Paul Lynch, that's it. Hey, Kyle, how are you? There he
Hi,
is.
Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, are you really a barber?
No, I have a juggling show that's barber themed.
I knew that. I just didn't know if you were a real
Yeah.
barber.
Well, during the pandemic, I kind of had to become a barber because my partner and I had been giving each other haircuts. 'Cause
I had to do that too. I became a barber as well.
was there any like horror stories?
No, I didn't do too bad actually.
It looks good. I was honestly so nervous. I was less nervous juggling knives than I was actually just cutting my partner's hair.
That's awesome.
Because I think I would
Oh,
heal
man.
much faster than he would let me forget a bad haircut.
It's true. And we didn't really have to see many people, so it was okay.
It's true.
All right, so it's 11 o'clock. I thought I would start now, and as people come on board, we can just let them in. And so, hi, I'm Debbie. Hi, everyone with Festivals and Events Ontario. This is our very first Tuesday Talks with FEO. Pretty excited about this. And Louise, thank you for doing this with me.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So our guest today is Louise Jackson from Louise Jackson Media. Louise is a seasoned event professional, from hosting large-scale sporting events to festivals with over 250,000 people, or guests as she calls them. She graduated from tourism management from Georgian College and understands what people needs and goes above and beyond to enhance the guest and sponsor experience. Louise is a strategic thinker and prides herself on integrity and innovation. And she feels that her strength is really relationship building and partnerships. So we're so happy to have you on board and joining us today. So yay.
On board and on the board.
And oh yes, you're on the board as well. That's true too. Yeah. So
And I won't keep you bored today. So.
Oh, good. That's not the intention of this. So we've asked everybody to mute themselves right now, just until we have our chat, and then we'll open it up for questions and answers. And we'll stay a little bit later after this hour is up in case you just want to network and things like that. Is that okay? Sounds good. Okay, great. So this is, so Louise, you want to talk about how to stay connected with your guests when you're unable to host your event in person. So how did, you were running an event recently. So what, this whole pandemic kind of threw us all into a loop.
It did, and it did throw us into a loop. And I was actually speaking to somebody who at one point had done a presentation and said, nobody is 100% okay right now. So
yes.
It's okay not to be okay, and to understand that. And I listened to those words while I was going through the turmoil of what do we do with our event? Where do we take it? And realized the need to still do something and still stay connected to your guests, because some of them, and especially our festivals, they're very local, community driven, that some people, it's really their only outing of the year, or they rely on that, the connection to the community, from our volunteers to our partners and our guests. So I hosted an online event for 4 days. I didn't do it just like the virtual where you have to buy a ticket and use it through a platform. We did it basically through Facebook. It was very, again, last minute because of COVID-19. You kind of have to be last minute. But what we did was we did little pop-ups throughout the city. And we did little interviews, and we talked to people, and we connected, and we kept that spirit alive and had a lot of really positive messaging. And through that, I got messages from people saying, thank you so much. You have no idea what it meant for me to see the event happen this year, or to see you speak to us, because I was really lonely and I was in a dark place. And this is my one outing pretty much a year that I look forward to. Because as community-based festivals, a lot of us are free. And if there is a paid aspect, it's very low budget and they can afford it. And that was what was missing. And in fact, I had a message from somebody say that by connecting with them, they know for a fact that we saved somebody's life.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was so powerful. And it was a repeated message. And we had artists that started crying.
Wow.
And musicians were just playing to a screen like we are now. And they weren't getting that. You know, we only had about 8 of us there. So we were live streaming. And I was telling everyone there, I said, we need to be wooers. I need my wooers. And so we were wooing our wooers, like,
Oh, wooers.
and these artists who heard it got emotional, and they were like, thank you so much. I haven't heard people cheer for me in a long time. I've been, yeah. So it was very overwhelming and humbling to know that festival and events are the backbones of our community.
Well,
they really are.
And humbling to know too that, like, if somebody is looking for your event for one, you know, all year, looking forward to it and connecting with people, because isolation is hard. And if they can get out and just be amongst people and feel connected somehow, like how, you know, who knew about that in our industry, right? That we were doing that. We get so focused and bogged down on the details.
And that's what I find. And as event people, we know we're go, and you're just looking at the event, you're checking your weather app, you're like, please be good weather. And you know, you're just kind of in the moment and you're so busy. And again, when the event's over, we all have the letdown of that kind of the crash, right? Of I was so up and now you're like, oh, it's over, you know, just for laughs, where did everyone go? Or it's over. We all have that feeling.
Yes.
And to take this time and realize not only did my community need me or us, our team, we needed them. I needed to hear those positive messages and that what we were doing has an impact. And, you know, as our tourism industry was one of the hardest hit industries, festivals and events. I think we all now have a better understanding of all of the people involved in festival and events. From our food vendors to our midway operators, our service groups, all of the people that volunteer, and you know, the hotels. It's just this ripple effect, and I believe that we truly are the ones that can stay connected and continue that momentum forward, but we can't do it alone. Everybody on here today, we all need each other in this.
Right. So let me ask you, how did the concept come about? How did you reach out to your community? How did people respond to it? And what kind of, so I'm throwing a lot of questions at you at once, but were you able to measure who watched it on Facebook?
Well, again, so Facebook was a lot of shares and a lot of watch parties, and we partnered with people and groups that had large followings. So they would be able to share it for us, and we did the schedule. And we also wanted the artists and the musicians to be able to drive traffic to their pages so that they could get likes and followers. And, you know, maybe actually somebody who performed for me told me that they actually had somebody else reach out to get them involved in their festival for next year because they really liked their performance. So that was the opportunity to showcase these people. We didn't have a budget because we didn't have the money to do it. So everybody came together and did it very, very low budget. I, you know, had a few partners and sponsors that I continued the talks. I just kept the relationships going as I was thinking, and, you know, I didn't call them at 3 a.m. when I had my epiphanies, but I would just call all our partners and say, hey, we're not here. I actually was speaking to Maestro Fresh West, who during this process has actually become a very good friend / mentor. And I said to him, look, I've got an idea. I know it's COVID. I don't want to cancel, but I have option A, B, C, and D. And he said, he called me back and he said, wow, that's such a positive attitude. I love that you have 4 options and 4 ideas that you could potentially roll. So not knowing restrictions, not knowing limitations, but having these different ideas and everybody kind of ready to jump when I said, okay, we are doing it, is how it came together. And it was just, again, continuing to look for the positive, knowing that I needed to keep busy for my husband's sake mainly. And on top of that, doing, teaching your kids school. But it's about that relationship building and talking to people. And, I would call, we have the Dragon Boat Festival local here in Barrie, and I would get on the phone with them, and that's run by our library. And we were like, oh, what are you guys doing? Are you canceling? What's happening? And then we would just kind of bounce ideas off of each other. We had talks from 5 different groups throughout our community that said, well, maybe if we can only do one thing, we can do one thing together. So conversations that never would have happened pre-COVID were happening during, and I believe should continue for post-COVID.
So there was a lot of collaboration that happened within the community with other festivals, with other events, with artists, excuse me. And did you do the reaching out for that, or did they reach out to you when they heard what you were doing?
Some did, yeah. And then once I started, I have a few key people around me that always have your back and that are in your corner. And as soon as I mentioned it to them, it was like, oh, I know so-and-so, I'm going to call them and I'm going to reach out to them. And it was just so neat. And then people started sharing their memories of events or live music or playing on stage, or I had a couple of people in the production side of things. Actually, one of my great partners here is on the line today, Karen's in, and had chats with them about what can I do, what are you guys doing, and just bouncing those ideas and that innovation of, I use the word strategic thinker because I said I think outside of the box. And I had somebody writing a resume for me. He said, no, you're not thinking outside of the box. You're thinking strategically. And I thought, oh, it's a better way to do it. So strategic partnerships, relationships, and never having them go away. Because when you call and ask for help, people are going to help you. And they want to. We're the backbone of communities. We really are.
Sometimes I find sometimes if we don't ask, we're missing an opportunity. And people want to do things for you, right? Especially in this industry, it could be a missed opportunity if we're not reaching out and asking for what we need.
Yeah, and then though, again, one of the big things was I wanted to drive traffic to the website so we could track with Google Analytics. And I highly recommend, if you're not using Google Analytics on your website, to use it, to understand it. It is so important. You can see up to, we had an average stay time of 2.5 minutes per visitor on the site. 19,000 people were there within a 5-day period. We had no social media boosting. Of course, your radio partners, who are your partners, they're always going to be your partners and they want to support you. So reach out to those people. They want to help. And again, tracking those numbers, which was never really done, because when you're running the event, you're looking at who's attending, what are the demographics. Well, you do Google Analytics, you get all of that. And analyze your Facebook stats of who was on your page and when, and your demographics. I feel that now I have a lot better understanding of who my target market is and where they are coming from, and that we had a bit of an older population that had always attended. And we saw that increase in our demographic, but the younger demographic of people that we didn't really think we had a lot of them as well. So it was really good for stats and sharing, and people were watching and sharing their comments. The watch parties were great because it was kind of fun to see who you were watching with. You felt connected to your friends even though you weren't. It really, again, was overwhelming. And I encourage all of you to reach out and stay with that guest, get their story, and feel how important you are to them. Because let's be honest, we all need to hear that.
We do.
We all need that support.
Yeah. You mentioned sponsors. How did you, during the pandemic, did you lose sponsors? How did the ones that stayed, how did you entice them to stay?
With my smile. No, I'm just kidding. You just have good partners. And yeah, we lost obviously you lose a lot of sponsors, you lose a lot of your revenue, but there's also a lot of people that are doing very well right now. And it's finding those markets, right? And they want to see the festival around again, or they want your event to stay, or they, again, look at some of the health manufacturing places and what they're doing. And I didn't ask for exorbitant amounts. I did little pop-ups. Like I said, it was a minimum buy-in, and I would come to your location and do a quick video and say, come down and check it out. And popped up on location, had like where I was going to be on site. You know how radio stations do, like they're live on locations?
Yep.
We did like mini little pop-ups. So even though it was virtual, we were actually still connecting with our partners and being on site, and had their logo in the background and took pictures. We had a notebook giveaway donated from a sponsor. So they had to nominate an artist in the area that could use a new laptop, a musician, an artist, or anyone kind of involved in the event world. And the girl who won is actually donating it to the not-for-profit music group that she works with. So,
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was just ripple effect of community and giving back.
And because it was online, did you engage your municipality at all?
Not really. A lot of them were laid off at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a different year, but there was lots of sharing, and those, the people that were in those roles were liking and sharing and having that whole thing. And one of the things I did that was special was I wanted to do like a small little opening ceremony. I wanted to hear "Oh Canada" and feel that. We did our land acknowledgement. We did it in a very small group. We live streamed that from our festival location. And I brought some of our key players out, from our stage manager to the people that have volunteered, the people that have been there, that, needed that connection. So we all still got to see each other on the weekend in a very large separated circle. But it was just nice to see everyone, and it made them know that you're thinking of them, that you mean a lot to us and we want you around. So it was just small little pieces of bringing everyone together, keeping those key players that work for a small amount for you over a weekend and give you a lot of work, just keeping them connected. And one of the ladies we work with, I actually reached out to her and said, we're going to do something. I said, I don't have a big role for you, but I just love you to be there. And she sent me a message back. She said, thank you so much. You have no idea how much this meant to me. You actually, you brought my spirits up. I really, really needed this. So it overwhelming.
It really is. And I know for us, it was really heartbreaking to see, like, from March right to, June, July, where like people were holding on right to the very end to try to produce something. And it's been inspiring to see what all of you have come up with. I mean, it's so cool. The ideas, the creativity in this community is amazing.
It is, and I think that we touched on that yesterday, Debbie, when we spoke, that what we do, we are creative people. And we need to give ourselves credit for what we do, for living through this and trying to be innovative and creative. I mean, Kyle, we were just talking about becoming barbers, and that's part of your act, but all of a sudden we're like, hey, I'm cutting hair now. And not like my mom did with my bangs straight across, right? With the tape. Did you get your hair cut? No. We had to innovate, and we had to be together and find ways. And we know now that when somebody says you stay healthy, you take that and you're like, thank you. You care, right? So
yep.
I really think it's important.
Cool. And what about collaboration? We were talking about this earlier, where I remember years ago, so I've been around for 15 years, and I remember people really trying, like the industry trying to collaborate in some way with the festivals within their community or within a certain kilometer range. And it never really happened, because I'm not sure why. I don't know if this high competitiveness, which I think could be part of it, but we all want to be unique, and we all want to do something different. So how did you find the collaboration this year?
I found it great. And like I said, it opened doors to conversations that I never had. Previously, before COVID, I had reached out to, some of the larger scale festivals in our area that we normally kind of, compete against. and had said, like, you know, like your like early morning opener at your festival could be a headliner on our main stage, but you know, we can never book people like that. Is it possible that you would maybe, you know, reduce the radius clause and we could partner together on some cross promotion? And they were completely open to the idea. So it's having the conversation, knowing your ask, and reaching out to them and telling your story. Because, you know, again, you got these big budgets that have been, you know, the headliners are costing these guys $150,000, sometimes $1 million, knowing on what they are. And that, you know, the B act or the C act that your crowd wants to see at a free admission or a $10 ticket, those are the ones that we can open up, and it's not going to have any harm in their ticket sales. They just operate their business from a larger scale. They don't always think about the little guy, but if you're the little guy who has a big opportunity and an offer for partnership, they'll listen.
Yeah.
And it's all keeping costs down and offering contra. You know, maybe there's an advertising cross promotion that if their festivals after yours, you let them have a box office at your event to sell tickets for what's coming up. We really need to be together and not work against each other.
And so how a vision for the future? I mean, on that end, on collaboration, how do you see that? Or do you right now?
I
Is
still see it.
Yeah.
You know, and we talked about this, the convention feeling. When you go to a convention and you meet people or a conference and you're all brainstorming and you're excited and you're sitting at a table with new people and you're like, we should work together. You should call me. You know, I'd love to have, you know, Kyle at my event, and maybe Karen, you could, you know, do my sound. And then I say to Marie, I'm going to Timmins. I got to see your kayak festival. You know, it's that excitement needs to stay throughout the year. So I think what Zoom has taught us during this is that we still can do that. And this group right now could be a brainstorming group. What do you want to do for your festival? What are your ideas? And, you know, there's strength in numbers. And we often, you know, look at team sports. For example, we talked about the Raptors earlier. Last year I had the We the North in my head, but this year I didn't. And when you look at that type of a team play, right? Every player works together for a common goal, even though they're playing against each other. If you watch the NBA and someone gets knocked down, they're picking each other up. They're friends. Even though they're on opposite teams, they're helping each other. So that's what we need to be doing. And we, you know, we need our Jurassic Park behind us. We can play it and pretend they're cheering for us and we can all go. But to me, it's a lot bigger picture. And that's why being part of FEO was important to me to get on the board, to offer what I know and to meet amazing people like this that are here today.
So what were some of your challenges? Because every event has challenges. So
yeah, challenges are when you've done something for so long one way, to think differently is tough. Again, a lot of us in the event world, there's probably one of you working on the team really that are carrying the torch during a pandemic. Of course, restrictions, right? It was a hurry up and wait, which is why you were seeing festivals like slowly go. We're like, well, what if there are restrictions open? For us, by the time we did it, we had our 50 capacity inside and 100 capacity outside. And I did have a couple of other ideas. And then our health unit was like, well, how do you plan on controlling this? And what do you plan on doing this? And I was like, I don't want to deal with all of that this year until I know protocol. So challenges were having big ideas and scaling them back to what was reasonable. And then just staying on top of communication. It's crisis management, which is very important. I unfortunately worked formerly at a ski resort here locally, and on Christmas Day 2017, we suffered a fire to the main chalet. And then I got into this bigger scale event world and had to deal with COVID-19. So in all of those things, it was the communication and community partners that mattered, and asking for help when you need it. As people were proud, as businesses were proud, we've learned, you know, with mental health, that it's hard to ask for help. It's really hard to ask for help when you need it because of your pride. But when you need it, people can't wait to help. I had -45 weather, so we had to close down over Christmas. And the first day we were able to reopen our trails, it was a Nordic ski facility. It was -45 with the wind chill.
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So a local business actually delivered a big pot of hot soup for us to feed our staff. Just those types of things. Yeah.
Nice. That's great. Wow. So, is there anything else that you want to share that I haven't covered? I mean, there really is, but I'm just wondering. Floor is yours.
I mean, I could go on and on. But one of the things that I want to just mention this now, from any scale of event, I just did a very big groundbreaking ceremony as well, which was exciting. It was outdoors. It was in Oro-Medonte, and it was, again, calling in my local partners that I could work with that normally we would hire on a bigger scale, but could bring them into something smaller. And it was finding opportunities for those other partners and those suppliers that we could work with within that time to have one business. So yeah, again, no matter the size of the event, always execute it as it's the biggest and the best thing in town. And to hold our heads up with pride and realize that what we do is important and all your ideas are great, and to stick together.
Cool. That's great. So I'm just thinking that our 30 minutes are almost up. So I'm wondering if we just open up the chats and let people ask questions and chat and yeah, have that Q&A. Is everybody good with that? All right, so let's open it up. And does anybody have any questions or comments, ideas? Unmute yourself and jump in. Or type it in the chat.
Hey, it's Marnie up in Timmins. I don't know if any of you have are members, because there's 400 of them, of the network of municipal event planners.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not, and if you know somebody who is, take a look at trying to get your hands on this. And that's the Municipal Return to Events Guide that the team has put together for post-COVID. Doors are open, we can have gatherings en masse again. And even for smaller ones, there's a lot of takeaway. I'm bringing this little guide forward to some of our community partners, such as the health unit, the fire department, Timmins Police, who work with our municipal events, big ones like our Canada Day, the Great Canadian Kayak Challenge, and hopefully maybe some others in the future. But it is a fantastic little document that is about 42 pages. But it is such a great tool to build your team going forward, because we know events are going to look different. At least for a good while anyhow. And sometimes rather than reinventing the wheel, you can Frankenstein your own plan from this. And I found it very helpful. And it's nice from the municipal standpoint where I am, because working with Tourism Timmins and chair of the two big events here, that it's drawing in our departments to work together. And we haven't done that since 2018, when we had Stars and Thunder #2 and #1 in 2017. And it's been interesting in engaging people with this particular piece, because everybody has been hunkered down, as Leslie Allen Jordan says, if you ever follow him on Facebook, hunkering down, trying to just get through this COVID thing. Having the discussions with your municipal contacts is helping their own morale, because right now they're just thinking, do we have enough masks and safety gloves to get through the week? But knowing that they can plan that, hopefully this is not a permanent situation for something happy in the future. And the fire chief was thrilled to sit with me on this. He said, this is such a great, happy thing to talk about. So get out there, have those conversations. And that's just my little bit from Timmins right now.
Thanks, Marnie. And if anybody, I can ask for, I know where I can get that, and I can put it into our vault. Or if you're a member, we have something called the FEO vault with a lot of information and literature. So I will post it in there and you can log in and access it. And if you can't find it, just let me know.
And Kyle had a question about if shifting to a virtual event this year brought an unexpected success, like in engaging a new audience demographic. And it did, absolutely, Kyle. We saw a different customer. You know, when you manage your social media pages, you know your consistent likers and followers. So many of them I didn't recognize that were there and engaged. And we did have a younger demographic because some of the talent we had were some of our local teenagers that wanted to get on and perform. And we actually even had a morning yoga that happened at 8 a.m. who was the most relaxing lady. I was working while it was on, and I actually took time to sit back and relax. And what it did was they were a partner of ours. It taught them what they could do to engage a new demographic as well. So it was really successful that way.
Excuse me, I lost my voice there. Carrie from Tecumseh Corn Festival said, excuse me, from the town of Tecumseh said, the Corn Festival was scheduled, was scheduled and supposed to be August 28th to 30th. In celebration of our festival that we couldn't have, we coordinated a coloring contest to engage our community. Every entry received a Corn Festival package of merchandise and Corn Fest craft. We had a great response. All these coloring sheets were put on display at the festival grounds during the weekend of the festivals. That's great.
Yeah, and Karen did ask a question about event resources, and actually Karen's somebody in my community who, again, they're event producers, and they reinvented themselves during this pandemic. And Karen, if you'd like to share with everybody how you guys did that, that would be great.
Thank you, Louise. I'm Karen Zinn from Multitech Audiovisual in Barrie. I operate a live event audiovisual company with my husband, who brings 30 years experience with live events shut down, live music festivals, large conferences, pretty much everything. We had to quickly pivot because we wanted to support our clients. They were looking, they know, especially fundraising, needs to do something. So we've created a virtual event studio. I believe it's the only one in our region that is open. We are attracting theater groups. We're doing our most recent one was the Georgian Bay General Hospital. We did their virtual gala. They raised quite a bit, substantially more dollars compared to their in-person events. They raised over $308,000, I believe. It was very successful. So we've dove deep into navigating virtual events, virtual funding needs. As well as live music. We can fully produce live music and stream out the content. We've been working with the City of Barrie for some of their festival and event content. So any kind of entertainment, virtually anything we are doing, much like you would see at a local radio's TV station. That's what a studio is set up to do. We're excited about working with planners like yourself, creating new fabulous things to be able to stream out at a broadcast quality. So please reach out to us if you are throwing around ideas and what you can do. Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. And I'm even working, so I do some work with the Canadian menswear designer, Christopher Bates. And again, a big show time for them right now is Fashion Week, right? These designers show their collections. So I'm also currently working in a way to how can these designers now showcase their collections, which is very important to them because that's how buyers end up buying them. But again, the tourism impact on that as well is really neat.
So there's another question, as a follow-up question. I'm wondering if you think the virtual events this year will change how we plan in-person events, like broadcasting virtual components of our festivals and events to extend our reach.
And I was thinking the same thing when I did that. I realized that by making them virtual like that, our event becomes very accessible. You can see it wherever, you can stay home. There's actually a girl I follow closely on social media. Her name's Danielle. She's a little dynamo. She's in a wheelchair. I met her. She was part of a youth council. She plays sledge hockey. She does this. And I've seen some of her comments that she's really enjoying now to be able to get out and see everything. So I think we should have these aspects of it because, you know, we've got maybe there's some seniors that can't come out and don't want to get out, but their kids will set them up. Or, you know, me, I was sending, my mom's not on Facebook, but you can watch a Facebook group. So I was sending her links of what I was doing, and she felt more connected to it this year. So I really think that we need to incorporate this going forward.
Yeah, and one of the things, just, you know, I'm researching doing our conference. I'm not sure if we'll be allowed to do a face-to-face conference next year. And so I'm doing research on virtual conference platforms, and I'm working with one of our board members. And it's pretty exciting. And for me, not only would we be able to host our festival, but, you know, like Marnie's up north in Timmins. I mean, we can reach more people up there. We can reach more people north, south, east, and west of Ontario. We can reach Canada, for heaven's sakes, and more. So actually, I'm kind of getting excited about that possibility, but we've also got some other commitments to the hotel. So, you know, we have to see where the fall and the winter takes us with this pandemic. But I think it could be really exciting. Yeah, having virtual platforms and virtual festivals. And
Well,
not the only one too, like mix it up.
Well, and there are some people that don't have the budgets to travel, right? They
Yeah.
don't have the hotel budget, so they can't attend these conferences and they miss out on everything. So, you know, smaller festivals, groups, events, they don't have that budget. But if you can attend somehow virtually and have this type of collaboration, I think it's a huge win. I think a lot of people are going to shift what they're doing. A lot more people are investing. You look at how Karen's reinvented herself, and you know how Marnie's having great talks with the fire department. And it's just, as bad as it is, we have to look at the positives of this, and it's made us change our thinking.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think
Are
Kyle
we
has
accepting questions now? Please unmute yourself and ask questions or type it in the chat. Thanks. Oh,
Kyle has a question.
any other questions, comments, ideas out there?
Yeah, I'd love to just jump in with another.
Hey, Kyle,
quick
yeah.
follow-up. That, like, right now, one thing I've been doing is shifting to physical distancing officers, using my stilt clown characters to help reinforce the small in-person events, keeping people distant, but also helping them safely reconnect. So one thing that we were talking about with the shift to virtual events, I don't think it will ever replace the in-person. Because that's one thing that I've seen is how much we need our connections right now, and seeing that slowly shift over the last 6 weeks in Port Credit BIA. But it's amazing the reach that we were able to find, the virtual events, and removing barriers for people who may not be able to attend otherwise. So I think it's wonderful to see the ideas that are coming forward and how we can blend the two formats just to help extend that reach.
And I love the stilts idea. Pardon the extend the reach fund, right? No.
Yeah, it's what I do. You can see the stilts in back, actually.
That's so cool. That's a great idea. And it makes a fun side of the physical distancing where we're all, I don't know, I feel like a negative magnet lately. I see people and I want to hug them, and I'm like, I'm not allowed to hug you.
Yeah. Well, and nobody is sure what they can do right now. There's a lot of fear, a lot of apprehension. And finding ways that we can still safely engage, because we need those in-person connections. So it's like, well, what can we do? Can we do an air 5? Can we do a bow? Can we, how can we connect safely from a distance? And air hugs are still valid.
Okay, perfect. And I've been singing Bette Midler's From a Distance in my head a lot this pandemic. Put that out there.
Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah, that's great. One of the things I wanted to mention just before we go as well is, again, I love meeting people. I love collaboration. It's in my being. It's who I am. So after this, Debbie is going to be sending out an email kind of with 3 key takeaways from this. Once that email is sent out, the first 3 people who respond to that with what your event is and kind of 3 points or questions that you want, we will schedule a kind of 45-minute, I will look at them, and maybe about a week later have a call with the first 3 people and let them know some of ideas and some of the things that I came from, what either your pain points are or what you're looking to do, or maybe partners in your area that I would think would be good. So I'll give just a free kind of 45-minute consulting call and help share some of my strategic thinking.
That's wonderful. Thanks. And, you know, and if you, yeah, FEO is here for you. We're always, like everybody, we're reaching out and making sure that, that we're doing things for you. So I hope you'll consider, if you're not a member, that you will consider coming on board, that you'll join us in our future Tuesday talks, and you have something to say, Louise?
And Debbie, I think the vault that you touched on briefly is something that Marnie and I just joined the board at our in February. And one of the things that came up was how underutilized the vault is in the members area, of how many great resources are in there. Just that if you're looking for another way to reach another demographic, when I reached out to Jay and Dave and said, hey, can we do the Instagram takeover this year for FEO and add that? And they said, absolutely, you get to take over that Instagram page for the weekend as well. It just adds another level of reaching a new demographic, and saw a crossover of our people start to follow and vice versa. So that's another cool opportunity to take advantage of, and make sure you use FEO as a resource. That's what they're there for. I mean, I had some panicked calls to Dave and ask for support, and they're always there to have your back. So it's important.
Cool. Anything else? Any other questions, comments, concerns? No? Well, I hope you enjoyed this, everyone. Thank you, Louise, for joining us and doing this. We're just kind of 40 minutes in, and I would perhaps end this portion of it. And if anybody wants to unmute themselves and just hang around to have a bit of a chat and network with people, feel free to do that. Oh, there's 2 more questions. Sorry, there's 2 more comments.
You can do air high fives too, right?
Hi, okay. Dan, moderator Louise, thank you for using. Oh, that was Ann. Carrie, thank you, everyone. Looking forward to future discussions. And Marnie, thank you very much for this opportunity. So thank you very much, everyone.
Who's up next, Debbie? Who's the next Tuesday talk?
It's next Tuesday is Landon Logie from Culinary Tourism, but she's going to be talking about virtual events and some of the platforms that she's done research on. And yeah, it should be interesting.
Yeah, she's done a lot of research. I heard her speak at a board meeting.
And then a week later is Mary Beth from Sponsorship Circle, who will be talking about how to actually gain sponsors in this pandemic, because she's got some really great ideas on how to utilize, how to keep sponsors you already have, and perhaps get some new sponsors for events that you'll be doing. So those are the next 2, and I've got a few more lined up, but not confirmed, so I'm not going to talk about it yet.
We'll bug you till you let us know.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Again, thank you, everyone. And
Thanks,
again,
everyone.
thank you, Louise. Thank you, Jay, for being part of this and helping me out with this. Okay, unmute yourselves and let's chat. And I'm going to stop recording too, just so you don't have to worry about that.